Hello, I'm Haeju from Go Inside Global.
I'm Haley Koo. Just as the four great rivers become one when meeting the ocean, the four caste groups will become one under the Dharma. To be ordained as a monk, the Buddha does not discriminate within the caste under whom that take refuge in the Dharma.
When the Buddha allowed women to ordain, he stated that women can attain enlightenment and liberation with practice. However, unfortunately, gender inequality persists as a reality. Thus, many nuns are still striving to improve this inequality.
샤카디타 International Association of Buddhist Women is one of the major organizations that promote gender equality in Buddhism. We will now meet Venerable Karma Lekshe Tsomo of iPeaceCenter via Zoom. Once an avid surfer known as Patricia Zen, Karma Lekshe Tsomo encountered Buddhism through a profound connection and was ordained in France in 1977. She spent 15 years studying Buddhism in Dharamsala before pursuing graduate studies at the University of Hawaii, earning a PhD in comparative philosophy in 2000. In 1985, she founded the Chamyang Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to improving education for women and girls in Buddhist regions. In 1987, she became a founding member of 샤카디타, a global network advocating for gender equity in Buddhism, which she has led for over 30 years. At the iPeaceCenter in Waialua, Hawaii, Karma Lekshe Tsomo promotes peace education, Buddhist studies, and community engagement through a variety of programs. In 2023, the 18th 샤카디타 International Conference on Buddhist Women was hosted in Seoul under the theme Living in a Precarious World: Impermanence, Resilience, Awakening. And more than 3,000 participants across the globe joined for presentation, workshops, and cultural exchange.
Yes, academic conferences and cultural experiences were shared together. Specifically, there was an opportunity to experience various Buddhist practices from all around the world. Additionally, we were able to observe the growing interest in meditation practice among the public.
Venerable Karma Lekshe Tsomo has led 샤카디타 for over 30 years, and I'm excited to meet Venerable and to learn more about the iPeaceCenter, a center supported by 샤카디타 Hawaii. Now, here is Venerable Karma Lekshe Tsomo on the screen. Welcome to Go Inside Global, Venerable.
Hello, Venerable.
Yes, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. It's lovely to meet you here. So, could you please introduce yourself to Korean Buddhists and BTN viewers?
Yes, my name is Karma Lekshe Tsomo, and my Korean name is Haegong, and I've been a bhikkhuni for many years. Ordained in Korea, actually, as a bhikkhuni, and first as a seminary in France. So I am professor of Buddhist studies, now teaching at University of Hawaii, and I did all my graduate work here in Hawaii, and yes, then I've been working with 샤카디타, International Association of Buddhist Women, which we founded in 1987 in Bodh Gaya in India, and then right now I'm at 샤카디타 Hawaii, which is the local chapter of 샤카디타 here in Hawaii, and I also founded Jamyang Foundation as an education project for women in developing countries. So I'm very happy to be with you today.
Thank you very much for joining us today. And I just heard that you came to Korea before for the full ordination. So I'm wondering how it was. So how was your experience?
Oh, it was really wonderful. It was really inspiring and amazing because at that time, the situation of nuns was very precarious. Nuns were not accorded much respect. Most nuns did not have much education. I'm talking globally, right? And when I got to Korea and I saw so many hundreds of well-disciplined, well-educated nuns, it was so inspiring, almost overwhelming. So the ordination was very well organized. I had already been a shamanary in the Tibetan tradition for 5 years, but unfortunately the Tibetans don't have full ordination for women. So I had arranged to go to Taiwan, but then I met Pangjang Kusang Sinim, and he told me there was an ordination in Busan. And so I was fortunate to go to that ordination and become a bhikkhuni in Korea.
Oh, so it was like 1982?
That's right.
Yeah, wow. It's wonderful. Wonderful connection, right?
Yes, I was
Yeah.
very fortunate.
Yes, and I'm just wondering that when you entered the monastic life, it might not have been easy for a Western woman to find a monastic path. So I'm curious how a girl who loved surfing chose to become a nun.
I had been interested in Buddhism since I was very young.
Oh,
My family name is Zen,
Yeah.
which sounds like Zen Buddhist.
uh-huh.
So when I was a child at school, the other children would tease me about being a Zen Buddhist. Then I had to find out, what is it? And I found 2 books on Buddhism, only 2 books. And I read them from cover to cover, and I thought, that's it.
Oh.
That's what I want to do with my life. And it was not easy because there were, at that time in the United States, there were no teachers, no temples, almost no books about Buddhism. I had to search very hard. It took me 13 years to get ordained. To find a monastery for women. I traveled all over Asia. I couldn't find a monastery for women.
Oh.
And so I had to struggle quite a bit. And then even finally, I had to start my own monastery. Yes.
Can you share more of your experiences of before you were ordained and once you were ordained, and your life as a monastic in various countries, and especially in Dharamsala as well?
Right. Okay, well, I grew up in Malibu in a prosperous family. My father was an aeronautical engineer, and it was a movie colony. Lots of famous people around, but lots of problems, you know. And I could see right away that the ordinary lifestyle just didn't interest me at all. Making money and, you know, that sort of thing, it just sounded really boring. So I decided to search for another path. And when I was 19, I went to Japan to go surfing. And then when it started snowing, I went to a monastery and started meditating. So that was fantastic.
Oh.
But I didn't find a teacher in Japan. So I kept searching, went to Southeast Asia, went to Nepal, and at that time the Tibetans were still pouring out of Tibet because of the communist takeover. And so, but still no one spoke English, and there was no instruction in Buddhism or meditation, so I kept searching. And finally in 1972, a friend told me about the Tibetan library in Dharamsala. The Tonglen had established where Western people could study Buddhism. So I got on a train and I traveled for 3 days, and I made it there on an East-West Center grant, actually. And I studied in Dharamsala for 15 years. The Dalai Lama had set up special classes for people to study Buddhism in English. And so that was really fortunate that he provided not only excellent teachers, but also translators for us. And at that time, nobody could understand why, because, you know, it was something so new. But he has a vision, and he could see that Buddhism would become popular in the West. And from that early group of Western people studying in Dharamsala came many teachers and translators and scholars. So he had a wonderful vision, and it, you know, the dream came true. So I was part of that early group, 1972 in Dharamsala. Of course, in those days, life in India was not so easy. There were, it was actually very difficult, and we had no support.
Yeah.
Maybe a few of the students had some support from their families, but I didn't, and it was really tough. So the weather there was terribly cold in the winter, terribly hot in the summer. 3 or 4 months of monsoon, no vegetables. It was, and we're living in mud huts with lots of rats and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. So the living conditions were very poor.
Yeah.
But we were determined. That early generation, we're 60s people. We're searching for, the true path.
Oh.
And once we found it, we weren't going to let go.
Oh.
We just power through.
Were you not afraid at all when you choose to be the monastic path? Because the situation didn't look good, right? So
I don't remember being afraid. What would I be afraid of? Only that I often didn't have much food to eat. There was one Tibetan family that if I didn't have food, they would feed me.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, we're still friends.
Oh.
That's
And
nice.
that was really wonderful. But I had to climb 1 hour up the mountain to get that plate of noodles. Yeah. So we struggled, but we were determined. We were absolutely determined. And
Wow.
I feel so fortunate. And His Holiness Dalai Lama also provided classes in Tibetan language. So that was a great blessing because the Tibetan texts are a treasure. And if you know Tibetan, it's like opening a treasure. You can learn everything about Buddhism.
Wow.
So, and you can go to the teachers and talk to them personally and ask the questions, you see. So that was really lucky too.
Wow, you were very delightful
Right.
learning about the Buddhism. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were also looking for the true path.
Yes.
So when we also enter our teen years, we also begin to start our own life journey as well. Can you share your wisdom on how young minds can learn to start their own life journey as well?
Well, everyone is different. Everyone has a different background. I was very privileged to grow up in a family where I got a good education, and I was in a very, a safe space, and I had many opportunities. I got to go to college, university, and everything. Today, there are many dangers from many directions, lots of influences that are not always wholesome, not always constructive. So I think there are more challenges today for young people. I feel that young people should find their own path, look inside, instead of following the crowd. A lot are just following like sheep, whatever is popular on social media, and often they get involved in things that are very unwholesome, and make them very unhappy. So I think we need more guidance. We need mentors who can help to show us the right path. And for this, we have to search. Honestly, I did not have this kind of mentors when I was growing up. I had to find my own way. And I read everything I could find from all religions, all philosophies, to try to find the path that resonated for me. And for me, it was Buddhism, probably because of the karmic connection with the family name Zen. It led me directly to Buddhism, to Dharma. So I was, again, very fortunate in that. But there were dangers along the way, for sure. Yes. And I was lucky to come out okay.
Yeah, that's great. So that's why, in a long history, you have founded the iPeaceCenter in Hawaii. So could you please introduce about your center?
Yes, well, about 20 years ago, my mother passed away, and she left me something. And I was fortunate to buy this 5 acres of beautiful land. So at that time, I was teaching in San Diego. I didn't have money, I didn't have time, and I couldn't do much with the land. But since lockdown, I've been able to stay here and help to develop the place. The vision is to create a safe space where people can learn and practice Dharma, practice meditation, and learn from each other how to be peaceful, happy people. So we're developing it by growing hundreds of trees to restore the earth, because people have gotten out of touch with the earth, you know. There's so many are very depressed, many are lost and wandering. Many young people are getting into drugs. We have a huge problem here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I find it very sad we get this precious human rebirth, and then many people throw it away. What a tragedy. So we want to create a place where people can come and play in the dirt and plant a tree and look at the flowers and practice mindful gardening. And then we have 2 Buddha shrines where they can come and meditate. We'll show them how to meditate. And then we invite groups from all over the island. Sometimes the students from the East-West Center will come. Sometimes students from the schools, elementary schools, high schools, colleges. Sometimes the military comes out. The military has an addiction prevention program to keep the young men out of Waikiki, basically, and to keep them away from all those temptations. And so they send them here for a day, and we meditate together, and they're very good at it.
Wow.
And then they help to garden, plant trees, and weed the garden. And some of them are farm boys, so they know how to do it very well. They can work all the machinery and everything, so it's very helpful. Then one day I could see they were very hungry, so I made some rice and, Indian food, rice and dal. And they were so happy. They said they hadn't had a home-cooked meal in months. Imagine. So they just all enjoyed that Indian food. And then again, they went back to gardening. They worked very nicely. So I think these programs are very useful, very helpful. And we welcome people. And we want to do programs with children because, of course, they are our future, right?
Yeah.
So the children are always welcome, and we want to do more. We want to do Hawaiian healing herbs. And of course, the Hawaiians also have their methods of conflict resolution, peace building. So we want to learn from them. Tuesday we're going to the Hawaiian nursery and get Hawaiian plants, and then we'll plant a Hawaiian garden with native Hawaiian trees. Then we also want to make a children's garden. Yes, so the children can come and make their own garden. We have a Buddha garden.
Wow.
We have a Jamaican garden.
Jamaican garden.
Yeah, we have Jamaicans coming out every Sunday morning and planting wonderful plants. So it's open to the whole community, and we all work together happily.
Wow. So it shows some diversity in your center.
Diversity.
Yeah.
Well, Hawaii is a very special place because we have, I think, 80 different ethnicities. I got my voting card the other day, and it's written in Hawaiian, Chinese, Tagalog, and Ilocano language. And the English is very small at the bottom. We have every language going here. And every food also. We all share our food together. We just had lunch and so many different dishes from different countries. So interesting.
Yeah, very inclusive, right?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Right now, I even hear the background of roosters.
Yes.
So I'm sure that you feel the love of Mother Nature every day. Can you tell me more about the Food Forest Project as well?
Yes. Well, Hawaii grows only 13% of its own food, which is ridiculous. So most of the food is imported from outside. And so the state is trying to promote local agriculture. So by growing our own food, now I only have to go to the market for, rice and a few things.
Wow.
I can eat out of the garden.
Oh, wow.
We have papayas this big. I can show you. We have, so many fruits and vegetables. So we just go, what's for lunch? Well, let's see. And we go to the garden and pick them up and, throw it together. So this is a way of restoring the earth, because big agriculture bought huge tracts of land, like Dole Pineapple, Del Monte, and they use it and just abandon it. And all the nutrients are gone. So we want to restore the land, to make it healthy again, and grow food. And anyone who comes here to volunteer can then take home whatever they see. We're not commercial. They can take it for free. And then they can also have organic, it's all organic, produce for their families. This is our dream. This is our plan.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we had a dream plan. Actually, it began with my Catholic nun friend and I. So we worked together. We had this dream, iPeaceCenter. And then finally we got the land, and we're still working together.
Yeah.
She also, you probably saw her at some of the 샤카디타 conferences.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yes.
And I'm just interested about some programs that you have managed. So you just mentioned about the addiction people can come to the
Yes.
center. Do you have any
Yes.
specific program for those who have difficulty with the addiction?
Oh, we haven't set it up formally. I haven't received specific training in that. But we do get a lot of people who are mandated by the court to do volunteer service. So we don't ask what their offense was, but we know that something happened. And then they come out and they have to put in, maybe one was 60 hours, one was just a day. So whatever the court requires, then they can come here and just work in the garden, and it satisfies the requirement. So it's a kind of addiction, prevent them from relapsing into drug use.
I see.
And they really love it here because they're free. The air is fresh, the vegetables are delicious, and people are friendly, and they can also meditate if they want. They don't have to. And they can be of any religion. We don't even ask unless they want to tell us about their beliefs. Most of them like Buddhism, and so when we have our lunch together, we ask who would like to do the blessing, and they might say in Hindu blessing or Christian blessing or Hawaiian blessing. Then we all share like that. This is how we do religion in Hawaii. We all share.
Okay, so mindful gardening and generosity and compassion, that works for them, right?
Oh, yes. That, I think loving kindness is the best
yeah.
addiction prevention. If people feel loved and appreciated, then they have something to live for.
I see.
And right?
Yeah.
And something solid, something meaningful. Then they don't need to get into drugs, because you can see everywhere that drugs is problem.
Oh, that's fortunate. Yeah. And could you be a little bit more specific about the peace education in your center?
Yes, I think that peace education is something that all of us need to learn so that we can share it with others. Especially, I think meditation is the best peace education, because before we can really be helpful to others, we need to be peaceful ourselves. If we don't know how to control our own anger, then how can we teach others? That would be a little bit arrogant, right? So first we need to calm our own mind, tame our own mind. Tibetans say the wild monkey of the mind. And then automatically we share that peace with others. So that part, that's one aspect of it. The other is methods for conflict resolution. And one method that we use is called compassionate listening. A lot of the conflicts that we have are simply because we're not listening carefully to our friends, our families. And then when we don't listen mindfully, carefully, then we misunderstand. And when we misunderstand, we can have conflicts, right? Sometimes we have a fight and we find out that we're fighting over completely different things. There was no problem, really, but we just didn't understand. So there is a technique for sitting down together and listening carefully, mindfully to our partner, and we practice that. So then we take that skill out into the community, into the schools, into our workplace, and it helps to prevent conflicts and also to resolve conflict. And there's much more to it, of course, but these are two methods I think are very useful.
Very good.
Right.
Very good. Thank you.
I think like listening and mindfully deep listening is very, very important, especially in Hawaii, since it's a big melting pot of cultures and religion as well. And when we share our own religion and culture to each other, we have to have that deep awareness as well. Do you have sort of cultural exchange activities at your center?
Well, everything we do is a cultural exchange because we have people from, so many different countries and so many different backgrounds. Last week we had a woman who was born in Uganda. She was Indian background, born in Uganda. Then when Amin came to power, they had to leave. The butcher, they had to leave. So they went to Canada, right? So such an interesting background. And they've been all over the world. In fact, one person is multicultural.
Yes.
And this is fascinating.
Yes.
So we all learn from each other. Actually, our language here in Hawaii is peppered with different words from different languages. We have a special language we call Pidgin.
Pidgin.
So, if we speak Pidgin, maybe you can't understand. But it has Chinese, Japanese, Hawaiian, every kind of language.
Oh.
And it's very funny also. So sometimes we speak like this.
Oh.
Sometimes you can get a discount if you speak Pidgin.
Oh.
So that is fun. And we invite people. We invite people from the different temples. So we had 3 priests from one Japanese temple, a Nichiren temple. We invited them for lunch because our treasurer is from that temple. And they came here and they saw what we were doing. And then they shared with us their English translation of the Lotus Sutra. And then they invited us to their temple. And then we took a group of about 12 people to their temple. And, we do these kinds of... We've been organizing a pilgrimage every month. That was our first pilgrimage. We also went to a Zen temple. The next month we went to a Hindu temple on Kauai, a different island. Yeah, and had a very nice exchange with... they have about a dozen Hindu monks there. Beautiful temple. Just beautiful. And then they also on Kauai have a peace garden, a Japanese peace garden. So we went to that peace garden. Then we went to the Tibetan sanctuary. They have a stupa, Tibetan style. So we do these kinds of things regularly.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Do you have any connection with other religion?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, many people who come are actually Christian too. For example, next week we're having a workshop called a 3-day workshop, or retreat, you can call it, with Tsuji Foundation, and it's interreligious, and it's about death and dying. So the speakers are Buddhist and Christian and Hindu, and we will all exchange our ideas and practices, activities and meditations on death and dying together for 3 days. So this is completely multi-religious, and we all learn from each other, right?
Wonderful.
Yes, this is wonderful.
So I think His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, he also mentioned that loving kindness is very, very important for, understanding and just living life in general. Do you think we can learn to increase our own abilities of loving kindness through meditation and Buddhist practices?
Of course. There are many meditations on loving kindness, and we do it regularly. One of the most popular practices here in Hawaii is Vipassana, and it always ends with a loving kindness meditation. The Tibetans also have many different meditations on loving kindness, including one called Friend, Enemy, Stranger, where we learn to direct or generate loving kindness equally for our loved ones and our so-called enemies and people we don't even know. So this is an excellent practice. Then we have one called tonglen, which is exchanging self for others. So we take on all the sufferings, the various different kinds of sufferings of the sentient beings. Today, so many people are suffering from illnesses and fear and conflict, especially in this country, many political conflicts. And then there are, of course, the homeless situation. We have so many prisoners, people locked up who are suffering so much. So taking on the sufferings of all these different beings and transforming them into the opposite. So those who are hungry, we take on their hunger and we transform it at a little dot at our heart into abundance. And people who are suffering from conflict, we take on the conflicts, but we don't hold on to it. Just take it on at a point at our heart and transform it into peace and send out peace to all sentient beings.
Wow.
Then continuing like this, fear, take on all the fears of sentient beings and then transform them into courage, and send out courage, So these kinds of practices are very, very valuable.
Wonderful. It's amazing. So that's why I really would like to visit your center and be there and learn something from you and share our thoughts or insights together.
I already feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
can we visit your center and do you have this kind of temple stay program or the other programs?
Well, we're still in the initial stages, and we are ready to build the center. Right now, we just have 3 small cabins, and we can accommodate 3 people. Me and 2 others. So people come out for the day mostly and go back at night, because the living conditions here are still very simple. Very, very simple. I'm basically living outdoors, but I love it. So like living in the Himalayas for so many years, I feel comfortable just living in nature. So, and some also come and stay for, a weekend or a week or 6 weeks and, and then take like a retreat time, a period of silence, contemplation, good exercise and nature.
Oh, great.
So yes, it's perfect. At first I thought it would be a monastery, but it's so difficult for Western women to become a nun. There's very little support for it. There are, like in all of North America, there are just only a few monasteries for women. So, and women have so many options these days also. How many people are really going to make a lifetime commitment? We 60s people, we were really determined. But nowadays, people have their social media and they're foodies and they're influencers and they're, doing all these sports and the arts and they have so many options.
Yeah.
So, but still, they appreciate having the opportunity to learn. And I do think that some will be ready to, if not becoming nuns, at least to really focus on Buddhist practice. I hope so.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So a lot of people in Korea are very interested in iPeaceCenter. but Hawaii is very far away, so they might not be able to go there. Can you do a short meditation for our viewers?
Okay, let's start with basic loving kindness meditation. So please sit comfortably with your back nice and straight but relaxed. You can sit in a chair or the floor, either one is fine. Put your hands in your lap and just breathe gently in and out. Next, fill your entire body with loving kindness. Imagine your body filled with a gentle golden light, removing all unhappy thoughts, all regrets, all fears, and replace them with a sense of pure love, filling your body from head to toe. Next, we share this loving kindness with everyone in the room, with your family, your friends, your Dharma friends, your co-workers. Imagine each and every one of them also completely filled with loving kindness. Then expand your loving kindness out even further to your neighborhood. Imagine everyone in your neighborhood, even the most difficult people, imagine them all completely filled with this golden light of loving kindness. Expanding even further. Imagine loving kindness being sent to everyone in the town where you live, the city where you live. Each and every being completely filled with loving kindness. And then everyone in the country where you live. Everyone in the whole country filled with loving kindness. And finally, sending loving kindness to everyone in the whole world, including the animals, the birds, the fish, all living beings. May they all be filled with loving kindness. And remembering especially those who are suffering the most, the ones who are hungry, the ones who are thirsty, the ones who are ill, those who are dying, those who are in prison, or living under oppression. Those who are depressed and lonely. Imagine them all completely filled with loving kindness. And we end by rejoicing in our practice, that we spent these few minutes in a very meaningful way. We take joy in that, and then we share the merit of our practice with all living beings. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was lovely.
It was. I never really extend my loving kindness outside of myself. So that was a really nice reminder to extend it outwards and to share the merit as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
So happy, so happy.
Yes, yes.
Meditation is important because to navigate this crazy, chaotic world,
Yes.
we need to develop a stable mind where, even in the winds of change, we can stay steady.